Hello and welcome to Unmuted. When I recorded the last episode, I had planned on the next episode being with my new microphone. That was going to be the big reveal. Unfortunately, I'm not able to record it right now on that microphone. So we're just going to use the lapel microphone just so I can get it out. And I'll explain why. I have the microphone, it's attached to my computer, it's ready to go. I'm not mentally able to go through the process of setting it up, practicing with it, then recording this episode all right now. And right now, what I need is to record this episode. So, obviously, all the other episodes have been recorded with the lapel mic just fine, and I just need to record it. And I need you to just listen, because I'm going to share some stuff, and I feel like, knowing me and knowing the way that I communicate, I'm probably going to just bombard you with some stuff at once. But I have to bombard you with it so that you understand what I'm saying later in the episode. So, here at the beginning, I apologize if I bombard you with stuff, and all I ask is that you just listen to what I'm saying. I don't need you to try to diagnose me. I don't need you to try to solve anything, and I definitely don't need you to judge my system. I just need you to listen so I can get it out. I, Bree, am okay. I'm fine. But a part of me isn't, and I don't know why. I don't know what happened, and I don't even fully understand what happened last night. I still have to speak to my husband, and he's not home right now. So I'm just going to film this to get it out, and who knows, maybe in another episode I'll be able to kind of give you an update as to what happened, because there's two people, one of them being inside me, but there's two people who have a little more details, and I don't have those details yet, so I can only speak as Bree. Hence why I asked for the understanding and for you to just listen. Got it? Good. So I have to tell you some stuff, and then I'll tell you about last night. So, and my mind's already getting foggy, so I'm gonna do my best to not make this just so confusing for you guys. So, to help you explain how my system works, because one of the things that people get a little confused on is when one of us fronts. Now, I'm the host, so I'm always out unless somebody else fronts. If you met B in the beginning of stuff like Goddess Glow Up and the very beginning of the Lioness in the Darkness, when B was host, so B was the one that was always out unless I fronted, unless Buttercup fronted. You get what I'm saying? Well, so that's outwardly. So, if you interact with me at any given moment, you're interacting with me, Bree. Now, that's where, if you know our system on a deep level, you can then begin to tell when it's not Bree. Sometimes it's obvious, sometimes it's not. This is very surface level. So please understand that this is very surface level. It's not this simple. But one of the things that would have happened as a kid, one of the things that I guess I would say was misunderstood, because originally I was diagnosed as bipolar. My system was diagnosed as bipolar, because what would happen as a kid would be that B would be out, of course, and then all of a sudden, let's say our mom was interacting with us, so B is out, Bianca gets triggered. All of a sudden, outwardly, B has what they called a mood swing. Now, here's the thing. It wasn't B. B wasn't having a mood swing. Bianca was triggered out. Bianca was speaking freely as Bianca. Bianca was fronting. Eventually, Bianca would go back. B would come back out as host. That would be considered a mood swing. Let's go even further back. Bubbles is, let's say, the host, because obviously, like I said, if you consider her the original, she's the host. So, Bubbles is out, she's fronting. All of a sudden, the monster walks into the room. It triggers Buttercup out. To the outward world, all they see is a mood swing. They see Bubbles was originally happy, playful, running around the room, excited, chatting a mile a minute. All of a sudden, Bubbles is sitting on the couch, not speaking a word, looking very sketched out, not wanting to look at anybody. It was considered Bubbles having a mood swing. Bubbles acting weird. Bubbles, why you were just fine. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Obviously, Bubbles isn't saying anything because Bubbles isn't out. Buttercup is. And Buttercup, the more you go, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Talk to me. Talk to me. Even worse, when you take your thumb and put it on one side of her face, and you take your pointer finger and you put it on the other side of her face, and you squeeze and you make her look you dead in the eye, what's wrong? How do you think Buttercup reacts? Not well. She goes even deeper into the struggle, the meltdown, the whatever it be, okay? Now, obviously me, the entire time, I am internal, okay? I only recently started being outward when I became the host. Or, right after, right before that, when I would kind of front out. And that would be when everybody would go, oh, we like you when you're like that because you don't sound traumatized. Well, yeah, because I'm not Bianca, because I'm not Buttercup. You get what I'm going with this? Okay. Now, that is outward. Let's switch inward. If I am out, if I'm living life, okay? What you would consider what my children see, outward, okay? Inward, I can always hear the rest of the house, okay? Because internally, it was considered, we had the Barbie dream house. We now live somewhere else. But before, I could always hear the other members of the house, okay? If you think of your actual physical house, okay, so let's say mine example, okay, so I live with my husband and my children, okay? So when you live in the house, you can always hear the rest of your house, right? Like, to varying degrees, depending where they are in your house. But you always know, okay, my husband's in the kitchen. I can hear him cooking. My children or wherever they are, I can hear them talking, whatever. But you can hear them, okay? So I can always hear the other members of Happy Place. Now, there are times where one of the other members will either ask to front. So that would be, I hypothetically step aside and let B front. So B wants to, let's say like we're coloring. Okay, it's like I said, this is all very surface level, but let's say we're coloring, Bubbles goes, I want to color. I want to be the one to decide the colors and physically color. Okay, I step aside, Bubbles colors. There's a movie, B goes, I really want to be the one to watch the movie with our children. Okay, now obviously, our children don't understand that it is not Mom Bree watching the movie. But here's the thing, they actually prefer when the other members watch it, because if you think of the ages that the rest of Happy Place are, it's a lot more fun to have a movie night with B. They don't need to know that B's watching the movie. Bree's the one who prepared all of the snacks. You get what I'm saying? So, I'm trying to keep all of this to make sure I don't forget something. Okay, so that's how Happy Place works internally, okay? So, obviously the outward world doesn't hear what I hear as far as the other members speaking. It is only if they front that you hear them speak. So you don't hear if Bianca says something in response to what you just said. You only hear it if either A, Bianca fronts and says it herself, or B, I say, Bianca says, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So that's Happy Place. Let's talk about nightmares in relation to Buttercup. Obviously, the only person other than me that experiences Buttercup's nightmares is Kevin, for obvious reasons. Even our children have not really experienced nightmares with us because our nightmares have always been mostly internal. Okay. Obviously I'm leaving out details of the nightmares, but I will tell you that if you read If I Was There, there is a scene, well, there's actually technically two scenes. There's a monster nightmare where they play a game. There is we'll say a fish tank nightmare. where there's a fish tank. I will tell you, the fish tank is a memory. The monster game is the most reoccurring nightmare from my childhood. Okay, that's all I'll say on that. But if you've read that scene, then you understand it is a in-depth nightmare. She's trapped in it. Okay. So when it comes to nightmares, the simplest way to say it is that Buttercup experiences the nightmare and I talk her through until she wakes up. Okay. I see the nightmare. I experience it with her, but I am not the one in the nightmare. I'm not the one running from the monster. Now, obviously, when I wrote it, or really when B wrote it, but when we wrote it, it was obviously phrased in a way to go with the book. The actual nightmare is Buttercup, okay? Outwardly, from what I've experienced when waking up and what I've spoken with my husband, is that outwardly there is a lot of me kicking and there's a lot of me crying, as far as me being the body. So obviously my husband, from, connecting with Buttercup, he learned that when he wakes up and I, the body, am whimpering in my sleep, sometimes whispering and kicking, that I'm in a nightmare. And we actually found that he is able to get very close to me and speak into my ear, reassuring Buttercup. So in the nightmare, I am reassuring Buttercup, Kevin is reassuring Buttercup, and we can sort of get her. Well, originally it was I would get her through the nightmare. Kevin is able to bring her awake. Once we are awake, the monster can't get us. Okay? But as far as outwardly, as far as what you could hear if you were standing at the bedroom door, you would only really hear me crying, whimpering. You wouldn't hear me kicking my feet, obviously. But you would hear Kevin reassuring Buttercup. He's obviously using her real name. But Buttercup, I'm right here. It's okay. You're safe. Okay. So, if you don't follow me on social media, you don't know this, but we just moved. Okay. So I tell you that because the system as a whole is under a tremendous amount of stress. It is summertime. We are, prepping for back to school for the children. We just moved. And without sharing the details of where we moved, why we moved, what we've moved, there's been a lot. There's a lot of planning. There's a lot of stress as far as, my entire family's life just changed, not in a negative way. Wonderful, full of blessings. I do not mean that to sound negative, but anybody who's moved knows no matter how good it is a toll on everybody. I will shout my family's praises to the rooftop. Like, my children have done wonderful. My husband, nobody can tell him nothing because that man moved everything himself. I have severe back problems. I also have severe carpal tunnel. My right wrist is getting very bad. So he did pretty much all of the moving. I did, the supervising and the organizing inside and all that, but he did all the physical labor by himself. Okay. So that's what I mean. A toll has been taken. And even just witnessing it, I feel bad because I wish I could help him more than I was able to. So there's been a lot of stress. Okay. And that's just the moving part. There's also been the adjusting to the move, to the new place. I am planning a fair for next week, dealing with all of that. I am planning what I call Founders Day, which is basically when I sit down as founder and executive director of the nonprofit and I plan the entire year. Now, obviously, things change. It's not always what would be called set in stone, but it is about as set in stone as I can get it until I start living it. You know what I'm saying? I plan August through July of next year. And obviously once, I plan October, but once October comes, sometimes things change. But I plan all of the events. I plan the general content. I plan things like the contest. I plan things like the fair. You get what I'm saying? It's usually about two days, and I just do my thing, and I call it Founders Day, and I get myself, treats. It'll be a much nicer Founders Day this year than it was last year because I have an actual set office and a comfier chair. But hey, before, the very first Founders Day, I sat at the library with a bunch of notebooks, a bunch of pens and highlighters, and my computer, and I did my best. And obviously, I made it work. So, I understand that my system is under a lot of stress and we are tired. Physically, mentally, emotionally. I did all of this right through my PMDD storm week. We hit a wall, and I understand that. Okay, I say all of that without the details that I don't have. I understand. No matter what your mind is like, no matter what your past is like, no matter what your trauma history is like, these past couple weeks took a toll on me, and I need to rest, and I need to give myself grace, and I need to give myself understanding, and I need to drink water and eat some good food. I understand that, okay? So I've told you all of that. So last night, my husband and I go to bed. Now I had the previous, the from the driver's seat, unmuted episode. I spent all of yesterday unpacking, spending time with my kids, and editing this audio. So I went to bed very tired, okay? And I could feel myself getting to the meltdown point. Now, usually, I go to bed and up until the moving, I'm very strict about when I go to bed and my bed routine and all that because sleep is a major trigger for me. Nightmares aside, Buttercup aside, Bianca, well, okay, so I would say this. Bianca and Buttercup have major sleep triggers. Buttercup is inside the sleep, the nightmares, But Bianca is more of a if I don't sleep. Okay, it is the lack of sleep is a trigger. You see how this could be an issue. Any sort of getting tired. Okay. So last night I was very tired and I could feel myself getting to a meltdown point. And I've learned from many years of living that when it gets to that point, just go to sleep. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to make well, why am I not good enough? No, just go to sleep. Do whatever I have to do to fall asleep. Rubbing my own head, speaking to the other members of Happy Place, whatever I have to do, get to sleep. Okay? So I was very honest with my husband and I said, I need to get to sleep. Okay? So I'm on the brink of sleep and we hear crying. It was my youngest. He was having some tooth pain, and when he cries too hard because of some medical stuff that I'm not going to share with you, due to some medical stuff, when he cries really hard due to either being upset or from pain or sickness or whatever, he will vomit. So obviously we hear crying. My husband jumps up and helps him. We find out it's the tooth pain. I tell him I will call the dentist and we will try to see what we can do. So, we're taking care of him. We get him settled. I try to fall back asleep. Okay. Now, this is where I don't have the details. I don't know what happened. All I do know is that at some point, I can hear myself panicking. Now, I just told you about normal dreams. I just told you how it's usually internal. Now, it was the opposite. It was as if I was in darkness. I can't see anything, but I can hear outwardly. It's obviously myself, but it's not me. It's Buttercup. And I know that because I'm the host. It's a lot like my child I could hear in the other room crying, because obviously I'm trying to keep this simple for you, the listener. But think of it like that. I'm in pitch black darkness and I can hear Buttercup screaming. Okay. But what scared us as a whole system was that we're physically screaming. And I can feel Buttercup is in Kevin's arms. I can feel like my back against Kevin's chest. And I can hear him. He's even panicking a little because, obviously he's not used to this. He's used to the whimpering, the kicking. This is as if, and I think I'm right because as I'm like trying to say this to you, I can feel it, okay? It's as if Kevin is standing behind Buttercup. Well, obviously, we're in bed, so it's horizontal. But, it's as if the monster is on the edge of our bed looking Buttercup in her face. And she's screaming, okay? And she's pressing herself against Kevin's chest. And he has his arm over her, holding her. And he's whispering in her ear, "It's okay, I'm right here. I'm right here. What's wrong? What's wrong?" And she's screaming. That's what that's all I remember. And then all of a sudden, silence. Just pitch black. And then I wake up in the morning. If it was a dream, it'd be one thing. But like I said, I physically remember being hysterical, like in actual reality. This isn't like in the dream. Something terrified Buttercup to that level. But I can't tell you what it is. I mean, I can assume, I have some ideas, but it doesn't make sense. I'm not invalidating. It's I don't have pieces that I should have as host is what I'm saying. As head of Happy Place. The fact I don't is what scares me. And I know this is a very vulnerable post, and that's why I said I'm not expecting you to give me any answers. I am simply sharing part of us with you because I want you to understand how deep this goes. That yes, outwardly you see us present as a certain way, but I need you to know that there's a lot under the surface that you don't even have any idea about. So if I woke up today and everything was fine, I wouldn't be filming this because we would talk about it, me and her, we would talk about it and we'd be fine. But I woke up this morning and going to the house analogy, okay? Somebody's missing. Not missing as in gone forever, but missing as if Buttercup went into her room, locked the door, crawled under her covers, and the rest of the house, the rest of us have walked through the house all day. What time is it right now? 2:32 currently. She hasn't come out for breakfast. She hasn't come out for lunch. She hasn't made a peep in her room. I'm knocking on the door. Buttercup, can I come in and talk to you? Silence. And feeling wise, remember I told you, Buttercup can be a grown up. We've gone through that healing. But in traumatic situations, in really vulnerable moments, I don't want to say bad moments, but in really tough moments, she is not an adult. She age regresses back to that little girl originally that she started out as. Nonverbal, under the covers, scared for her life. I can feel the difference in my body. Of all of them, I can feel when Bianca's doing well. I can feel when Bianca's not doing well. I can feel when B is feeling lonely versus when she's happy as can be. I can feel when Bubbles, because Bubbles and Buttercup are so connected, just like B and Bianca are, I can feel how Buttercup is doing by how Bubbles reacts to her. And I'm telling you that something is wrong. And the fact that I don't know what scared Buttercup to such a degree that she outwardly was that scared, that upsets me. That upsets me as Bree, as host. And I can hold it together. You know what I'm saying? Emotions, not that I don't want to say I don't have emotions. I'm still human, no matter if I'm head of Happy Place or not. We're still a system, and their emotions affect me. But I feel, us parents will understand this, okay? I feel like my baby had the worst night, and now she won't talk to me. She won't come out of her room, and I can hear her in there. I don't want to say hear. I can feel her emotion. I can feel the sadness. I can feel the heartache. I can feel the rest of her, whatever you want to call them, siblings, housemates, friends, pieces, whatever. That part doesn't matter. We don't need to label who we are to each other. We know who we are. I can feel the rest of them scared for her. I can feel it all inside. And here's how I know it's not good. Physically, outwardly to the world, I woke up as if I was a small child just ready for a meltdown. If I was an actual child and I had a grown up, the grown up would be saying, I need to do some damage control. Like I need to make sure she takes a nap. I need to make sure she gets some good food in her. Hey, where's the coloring? Because you look at me wrong today and I'm going to melt down. And I've had to, because obviously I don't share all this with my children. I'm not putting that on them. But even they can tell, like, I'm not how I was yesterday. And they think I'm just cranky. They think I'm just, because they obviously know we moved. So they're like, okay, mom's just not feeling good today. But that's the part where it gets really confusing, is because Bree, if I don't tell them the rest of it, I'm okay. I'm not in a bad mood. I'm not upset about anything. There's nothing to fix. I can't tell you what's wrong. That's why I'm filming this. Because I don't know what happened. And that's a really hard feeling, because I can't, what am I gonna, how do I fix it? I can't, you guys can't give me advice. You guys can't tell me what's wrong. Even Kevin can't tell me what happened. He can only tell me what he witnessed. I don't know. So I'm filming this because it's all that I can do right now. And this is why I didn't set up my microphone and test it and then film this, because the words, they just needed to come out. I don't need it to sound perfect. I'm checking because I'm okay. I got this fear that I was about to look at where I record it and my microphone was going to be dead. I just got this I told you this was a lot. I told you I was going to bombard you. And the thing is, at the end, there's no conclusion. I might give you an update later if she unlocks the door or my husband tells me something I don't already know. And who knows, I could talk to him and he could be like, what are you talking about? You didn't scream at all. But I remember it. So it's like, if he were to tell me that almost makes it even worse. Because from my perspective, even pitch black, from my perspective, all of that was happening. And then going to the pitch black part, why am I in pitch black? That should not happen. Me as host, me in that moment, why am I not able to see her? Why am I not able to see what is happening? Why am I not able to see who the fuck is scaring her like that? Can you imagine? Think of her as an actual child. Can you imagine being a grown-up and you hear, I don't need to scream for you to assume what that scream sounds like. Just imagine your child's absolutely terrified. Not a happy scream. Not a ooh, a mouse scream. I'm talking, they are terrified scream. You hear them scream, but you don't know where they are. You don't know what is making them scream. And you're just in pitch black. You can't get out of it. But you're not, why are you in pitch black? You get what I'm saying? What happened that you're in a pitch black room? Where's to get out? And then just daylight, morning, wake up, go about your day. Mom, can we have breakfast? And you have to just, meanwhile, literally in the back of your mind, your child alter won't come out of her room, won't talk to you, won't tell you what did they do, whoever they are. Why are you this scared? What happened? And nobody can help you. Nobody can give you that answer because it's your system. It's your alter. It's your little girl. And all you can do is film an unmuted episode to just speak, because there's nothing else you can do. But the entire time, in your memory, you just keep hearing that scream. And the entire time, you know it is you. It is you screaming. No matter who is fronting, it is my body in that bed. And I don't even know what scared me that much. It's very disorienting. And honestly, and the day is not over, but when stuff like that happens, the next day, I do kind of sit here and wait for the answer. And I've had a couple situations, and I'm not going to share like exactly what happened, because it's like if that person were listening, I don't want you don't want to give it all away. But I've had situations where I've had an inkling that I was going to get a message from somebody. I've had an inkling that somebody, I mean, I've even had it where I had a dream and then I found out that tomorrow was missing. That's all I'm going to say on that. I had a dream. I didn't understand the dream. Then I found out tomorrow was missing. Then I found out tomorrow was most likely not alive. And then the dream made sense. I've had dreams where somebody said something, and then all of a sudden in real life, in, daylight, I got an email. I got a phone call. I got a message on TikTok. I got tagged in something. And I got the answer later, is what I'm saying. That's my point. I didn't have the answer, and then later I did. And then I went, oh, now I get it. But what gets tough is when I don't get that answer. When something like last night happens and I don't get what happened. When Buttercup doesn't come out of her room for a week, a month, and there's nothing I can do. Because you would think, like in real life, if your kid won't open the door, you could technically get the door open. Whether it's unlocking it, kicking it down, it doesn't work like that internally. I mean, I guess if I had to bust the door down, I mean, if I gotta, But just think of who we're talking about here. I'm not gonna kick the door down. Just that wouldn't, I know my system well enough to know that if I bust down Buttercup's door and went, speak to me, I've already explained to you, that's not gonna achieve the desired effect. So I'm not gonna do that. But it feels really lonely as the grown-up, as the host, as the adult, because it just leaves me sitting here waiting for a little girl to unlock the door. And given our history together, it's an uncomfortable feeling for me to be sitting in. Meanwhile, having the rest of my girls freely roaming the house. Meanwhile, in reality, having my actual physical children roaming, living life, knowing my husband's going to get home from work, and obviously there's going to be a point, not when he walks in the door at dinner time or anything, but later on when things quiet down and the kids go to bed and all that, there's going to be a moment where he turns to me and he goes, "Are you okay?" And I go, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Come on, you know what I mean. What happened?" And then I have to tell him, "I don't know, she won't talk to me." And he knows her well enough to know that if she won't talk to me, then there's a big problem. And I don't know what the problem is. Because like I said, I haven't gotten a message. Oh, and here's another piece. Okay, going with the I'm waiting for a message, I'm waiting for some sort of answer. Our power goes out a couple hours ago. There's no reason. There's none. Just our power I was in the middle of doing something on my computer, and all of a sudden everything in the entire house just gone. Everything shut off. In the past, when that has happened, it's been the universe blocking something from getting to me. If you take the power away and you take the internet away because the power is away, then I can't get the TikTok message until later. I can't get the email until later. I can't see the video I'm tagged in until later. And it sounds very woo-woo, I know. If you don't believe it, you don't have to. I don't know, I'm telling you. You don't have to believe me. But in the past, the universe's timing has been spot on. And when the power, in the past, came back on and the message came through, all of a sudden it made a lot more sense why it was blocked until it was shown. But right now I have more questions than I do answers. And rather than just sit in it and get consumed by it, I'm filming this, and eventually I'll post it. And it probably won't get a whole lot of listens because it's not exciting. And some people will even only listen to it so they can use it against me later. But I'm still going to say it anyway, because there's some of you who you have minds like mine. And don't worry, I'm never going to share what isn't mine to share. So I'll keep it. I'll keep that secret until you're ready to share it with the world. But I know that your brain works like mine. And I know that you have younger alters. And I know that there's a couple of you that have your own buttercups. And maybe if I am brave and share what happened, that maybe your own buttercups will feel less alone and won't hide. So I'm gonna end it here. And I did get myself, full transparency, I did get myself in iced coffee because sometimes I'm gonna give my system something that is pleasant to them, comforting to them. And yes, tomorrow I can not drink iced coffee and drink a lot of water. And I am drinking water today. But my point is, sometimes you need the treat. And given how I coped even just a couple years ago with self-harm and certain substances and stuff like that, I think an iced coffee is okay. I can get back on track later, but today, until I know just what I'm working with, I'm going to drink the iced coffee. And I'm not going to feel bad about it. Because if, obviously, Buttercups, it's not really an iced coffee that's going to bring her out of her room, but I'll just keep trying. And I'll just, maybe we'll play around with the keyboard or go through the toy bin for the fair or color. Or maybe we'll just lay in bed. Just listen to the birds. I don't know. Sometimes I know what to do and sometimes I don't. And I guess the thing is admitting that I don't. And I do know this, that I love Buttercup very much. And even if I have to sit outside her door with my back against it, full frozen, you want to build a snowman, I'll sit there all day